Hi everyone, my name is Aura Ogorian. I'm with ACap Advisors and Accountants, and welcome to another episode of the ACap Recap, where we go beyond the blog and to give you quick financial and tax tips. These are topics based on actual questions we receive from you or on a particular hot topic. In this episode, we're going to talk about the new 1099 NEC form and how it replaces the previous 1099 miscellaneous form. But before we begin, remember to subscribe to our channel, like and share our videos, and if there's a topic that you want us to cover, make sure you send us a message or leave a comment below. Welcome back. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the 1099 NEC form. Chances are, if you're a business owner and you have independent contractors that you pay or vendors that you pay, every year you have to pay them, you have to issue them what's called a 1099 miscellaneous form. Or if you are a freelancer, you're most likely have received these 1099 miscellaneous forms. And the purpose of the 1099 miscellaneous form is to show to the IRS either that you've paid someone a certain amount of money, and then if you are a recipient of a 1099 miscellaneous form, is to show the IRS that now you've earned this money and that you have to pay tax on it. So in today's episode, we're going to cover the new form 1099 NEC and how it replaces the previous 1099 miscellaneous. So we're going to cover what the two differences are between the two forms. We're also going to cover what the threshold is for filing the new 1099 NEC. And we're going to talk about when the due date is for actually filing the 1099s. And then lastly, we're going to talk about some of the exemptions. Basically, what are some instances where you don't have to file a 1099 even if you're above that threshold. So what is the new 1099 NEC form and how does it differ from the 1099 miscellaneous form? Now, NEC stands for non-employee compensation. This is a new form that the IRS has changed for 2020, which is due in 2021, and it replaces a miscellaneous form only for non-employee compensation. And the purpose of the form is that you're reporting to the IRS that you paid someone a certain amount of money, and so the IRS can cross-check that person's tax record to make sure that they are also reporting that income to ensure that proper taxes are paid for that individual. Now, the 1099 miscellaneous form isn't going away. It's just being used for other payments. So if you have non-employee compensation, you issue them a 1099 NEC. But if you're paying rent to someone, royalties, prize money, healthcare payments, payments to an attorney, or other income, you will continue to use the 1099 miscellaneous. So again, the 1099 NEC is only for independent contractors that you pay. You would only use that form for those payments. So what is the threshold and what are the due dates for the 1099 NEC? The threshold depends on the nature of the payment. It's $600 for any payment other than interest and royalties. For interest and royalties, the threshold is $10, and for any other payments, it's $600. So for example, if you paid a contractor $600 or more, you would have to file the 1099 NEC. However, if you paid someone interest or royalties of $10 or more, then the threshold, as you can see, falls below that $600, and you'd have to file the 1099. The due date is February 1st of 2021. So it's coming up relatively soon, and it's right after the new year. So you have to actually file these with the IRS by February 1st of 2021 to ensure the individual receives that 1099 NEC. So are there any exceptions to filing the 1099 NEC form? And the answer is yes. It depends. If you're paying a corporation, including an LLC, tax as a C corporation or an S corporation, or rents paid to a real estate agent or a property manager, those are exempt from filing a 1099 NEC. However, I would still recommend preemptively filing one anyway, just in case. There's also exceptions to the exception. So for example, if you pay an attorney, even if they are a corporation, a C Corp or an S Corp, you still have to file a 1099 regardless of the income. The other is if you have medical payments that you pay to a healthcare company, those are also still reportable even if that is a corporation. So in closing, the process for filing 1099s in 2020 or for 2020 is completely different than in prior years. If you have non-employee compensation that you've paid, the new form you have to use is a 1099 NEC. You can no longer use the 1099 miscellaneous. However, if it's any other type of payment, then you can continue to use the 1099 miscellaneous form. As you can see, which form to use and when to file it is very important. So it's important to contact your CPA or work with a CPA who fully understands which form you need to file and the deadline for filing those forms. Because if you don't file the forms on time, then you're going to face stiff penalties based on the dollar amount and the length of time that you do not file that form.